This is Lenny Torgerson. The topic is ODOT standards. I've got a PDF. I spent a fair amount of time kind of making up this table about the ODOT standards and how they are delivered and what is automatic versus not automatic and what do we recommend that you use. It's kind of the first time I've ever tried to make a table like this, and I do have it posted on the East website. It's going to guide what I show you today. And so we'll be looking at the 3 pages, and there are standards also I know that I have forgotten to put on this list. It begins with how we create files, really. So that's why the new DGN file, either in ProjectWise and in Windows, is there. So I'm just going to demonstrate for you the creating new files, and then we'll get into those new files. If you happen to be working in ProjectWise, so your project's in ProjectWise, you want to create your DGN just from the ProjectWise Explorer. So I'm right here in my number 2 plan sheets folder in my user training key number of 59s. The way that you create a brand new DGN, do it this way every time. This will have really good connectivity with the naming tool. Is use the new document command and go through the advanced wizard. This is also accessible from the document menu, document, new document, and you can go straight to the advanced wizard. I have pared down the screens on my advanced wizard. I've shown you how to do that in the past. So I've just got the most recently used templates. I'm going to show you the fastest way to do this. I'm going to select my 2D seed. Well, actually, I just want to iterate that the templates for the seed files, you don't really need to know how to find those outside of ProjectWise. Within ProjectWise, where we've got those seed files stored, is at the top of the hierarchy. So I'm going to expand the hierarchy with this drop-down arrow across from my folder. At the very top of the hierarchy, there's a CAD resources folder. That's where you would go for new DGNs. Also, you'd go here for new PSET or for maybe some new Excel spreadsheets. We've got several Excel spreadsheets, and I've got a new ITL. So this is where the seed files are, the templates. And we would just choose the appropriate, I'm going to choose the appropriate DGN here, and then hit next. And you should classify it according to your discipline. And I'm going to pick just a plan sheet. Well, let's just pick a title sheet. The other thing that I want you to make sure that you do is give the naming tool the .dgn. It cannot do that for you, but it's very important for when we go to create print sets. If we want those print sets to survive migrations to other servers like we've just experienced, and your DGNs, the document name with a .dgn. And then you can create those, and then you can open that file after you've created it. You can open that file with MicroStation Connect or with OpenRoads Designer. And I usually use the open with command because I like to select and I like to be specific, and I would not make it read only. Now, the reason I say use open with is because some of us still have our default program association set to V8i. If that's true, if you double click on a DGN, it'll try to launch MicroStation V8i. So I would choose MicroStation Connect. This is also the best way to ensure that you will have access to the ODOT standards once the file is open, because this file lives in a project that's got a workset folder. That workset folder will be seen by the Connect edition of the products, whether it's ORD or MicroStation Connect or in the future OpenSite. That workset will be seen and it will be loaded at launch. The DGN file will be branded. All of those things help you to ensure that you have access to the ODOT standards. They're all working in concert to do that. I'm actually going to move away from Go back to my number 2 plan sheets folder. I'm going to move away from ProjectWise Explorer and just show you how to create that same file, maybe on your C drive or maybe on a crew share. I would launch the product, MicroStation Connect, from the desktop shortcut. So I just double clicked on it. I've also got it on my on my start task. What's that called? A taskbar. I'm going to cancel out of ProjectWise. I do not have ProjectWise auto login going on because I'm doing still a lot of work on a crew share or on my C drive, and the dialogues look totally different if it automatically logs me into ProjectWise, and it kind of drives me nuts. So I don't have it auto login. Instead, I cancel out, and that way I don't get any ProjectWise dialogues when I'm working outside of ProjectWise. The thing that you would want to make sure that you do is select a workspace. The ODOT Connect workspace should be under the custom configuration. That will give you access to the ODOT work sets root, and you will see all of the work sets that are on your C drive. Everybody here at ODOT has, at very minimum, the ODOT work set. It's installed on your C drive. We make sure it's there every time you log on to your computer. Externally, when you download the workspace from the FTP site, you get our ODOT work set. Why do you get that? That's your access into the ODOT standards. So we load ODOT Connect and ODOT, and then I'm going to create a brand new file. So I click the new file button. This actually sets that ODOT Connect and ODOT set the seed file. It says find it in the C ODOT v10 folder. I don't need to know where that is. There are a slew of seed files. Well, maybe not a slew. Do I show the seed files? I don't show the seed files, but I do say in my PDF that the location of the folder containing the seed files is automatically located for you. You don't have to worry about that. So we're just going to create a brand new file. If I needed to change the seed, you would browse. And it takes me to the location of the seed files. I don't need to worry about where they are. I just need to worry about which one to use. We have some open site seed files that are there, but we have not yet deployed the open site product. So put 2 and 2 together on your own. If you're using open roads, would you use an open site seed file? No. You're going to just use the regular seed files that we've been using historically. Open Roads Designer and MicroStation Connect will use Seed 2D and Seed 3D, and for surveyors, Seed TopoDot. I'm going to create a brand new 2D seed file. I'm just going to overwrite that other one that I created, new from seed. Yes, I want to overwrite it and open it. Once you get a file open, it's a really good idea to verify that you are accessing the ODOT standards. I think the fastest way to verify that is no matter what tab, what ribbon tab you happen to have active. I have utilities active for some reason. Ignore all that. Go up to the workflow ribbon list, the ribbon workflow. Mine says drawing because I just opened MicroStation Connect. If I had opened Open Roads Designer, it would say Open Roads Modeling. Click the down arrow and look for the word ODOT. If you do not see the word ODOT there, you chose poorly, I suppose. You're not accessing the ODOT standards. You're not even loading our ribbon workflows. So, quickest way to check, do you have access to the ODOT standards? Do you see the word ODOT? Those ribbon workflows automatically use a whole bunch of the other standards, and we'll see that as we get into the PDF. So we just verified we have the ODOT standards accessible. So what does that mean? That means if I want to create a brand new model, which I might want to do manually, I have access to model seeds. And I don't need to know where they live. MicroStation, whether I'm working in ProjectWise with Open Roads Designer or MicroStation, both of those products know where we keep the model seeds. So If I need to create a brand new model, I'm going to open up the models dialog. I'm going to click the plus icon, create a new model. And I have to tell it which type of file do I want to put, model file, same thing. Which one do I want to create? And just to let you know, please avoid choosing from the top section. Design, drawing, and sheet, they're created from the default model of, or the active model, I'm not sure which, of your active file. So you're not truly getting something that's brand spanking new. So get something that's new, create them from a seed. If you want a sheet from seed, select sheet from seed. The reason I point out sheet from seed is because I have only one design type model, only one, it's in the seed 2D file, but I have several sheet type models to choose from. And it comes from a slightly different file in a slightly different location. Do you need to worry about that? No. The ... button gives you access to that file. When we click the ... button, it takes us right to the location of the sheet model seeds. There's actually some drawing model seeds too. It's highlighted. All I have to do is click open and it shows me all of the different models that are available for me to use as a template. If I was a surveyor or working in right-of-way, this is interesting information. If you choose the right-of-way roll 36 or the right-of-way roll 24, it's going to create a sheet type model that's the correct size. It's 36 by 200 or 24 by 200. Why 200? It's the maximum length of a PDF, just so you know. And it already has your border and all that stuff in there. There's an 11 by 17 if you want to make a quick little contract plan. It's already got a boundary and a border and a title block attached to it. There's an 18 by 24 for your survey filing maps. It's already there. You can experiment with those. And I'm just going to go ahead and choose, just for grins, the 18 by 24. And I'm going to name it 18 by 24, just to repeat the name. It's all set up as a sheet. The size is set, already preset to Architectural C. When you click OK, you get your 18 by 24 sheet ready for you to place your border. If I was doing survey filing maps, where would I get those things? Well, from those ODOT ribbon workflows. Survey's got their own ODOT survey, and they've got some borders under, I think it's right-of-way engineering. There's the borders. And we've got all of these different rolls and sheets. And there is my right-of-way 18 by 24. And it's going to place a cell. I've got a snap point, which I'm going to let drag me into the lower left corner. So I've just created my sheet with a boundary. It's 18 by 24, and it's got my right-of-way boundary already there. Anyway, those are all set up. So I just went way beyond just the models. Let's get back to where we were. We did a new model. You saw where we had the location of the model seeds. We also used text styles and text favorites. I'm not going to go into those a whole lot. You need to know they're loaded at launch. Yeah, if you open up the text style and you don't see the word ODOT in the text styles, what should you do? If you don't see the ODOT ribbon workflows, I would fully exit the product and relaunch either in a Connect project in ProjectWise or after choosing the ODOT Connect workspace and the ODOT Connect or the ODOT work set. So you'd want to choose those from a desktop launch. We also provide cell libraries. The cell libraries, and at the top of each one of these pages, there's a item, the purpose, how to access or use, and what about it is automatic. Well, cell libraries have a whole ton of stuff that's automatic because the cell library is a container. It's really a DGN file with a whole bunch of different models in it, where each model is the model name is the name of a cell. And instead of ending with .dgn, the cell library ends with .cel. We've got a bunch of them. They're automatically loaded at launch. And every cell, they're supposed to be uniquely named. Every cell is available just from the place cell command. If you know the name of the cell, you can type the cell in. It will find it in whatever file it happens to live in and place that cell for you. The location of the folder and the loading of all of those cell libraries is what's automatic. I wanted to show you how to access the cell library. A lot of people like to use this, and this is a different way to find it in MicroStation Connect. So how do I place cells? I'm just going to continue on. Nope, I'm going to go back to my default model because I don't. I'm going to go back to drawing. I'm going to go back to my default model just because the black background is a little bit easier on the eyes. And I'm going to show you from the Home ribbon tab where you can find the cell library. I think I say in this, there's a primary group and there's a more button and there's a choice of cells. So in your primary group, put a box around it, there is a more button. The more button looks like 3 little keys on a keyboard. That's your more button. And there's the cells. It's a pick list. You can also, I think it's easier to find the command to place cell and then just choose the ... button from your tool settings window, which will open up the cell library as well. That's a fast way to open up the cell library. Looks empty. That's okay. The seed file that I just created this file from doesn't have any cell libraries attached to it. But the cell library already has preloaded every cell file, every cell library that we've got in the ODOT Connect workspace. Those are accessible under the menu word file. And you can see them in the list. And they are all in a folder called ODOT_standards. That's how you know that they are our standard cells. They'll have the discipline name on them, and they're alphabetical by name of the file. So ADA is at the top. Who's at the bottom? Welding.cells is at the bottom. What happens when I go below welding? Below welding, I'm seeing some stuff that I will talk about in a little bit. I see something that's coming from the ODOT standards cell folder. That is my work set. Sorry, I'm trying to position this so we can see it. Just, you know, I'm struggling. There we go. The 4th line from the bottom, 2 lines above where it's highlighted blue, that's my project cell library. It's actually in the work set. That's right. Each work set can have preloaded project-specific cells if you happen to create them. You just have to know where to put that cell library. You'd put it in the cell folder that's inside the standards folder that's inside the work set folder. I'm using the ODOT work set. There are also personal cells that are loaded, and those are loaded at the bottom. And I've got those covered at the very bottom of my PDF. When you select any one of these standard discipline libraries, you have access to see the name and the description of all of, let me choose ODOT, the name and the description of all of the cells that are in that library. You're looking at all of the different models. And you can sort these by name, inversely sort them. You can sort them by description, inversely sort. You can sort them by type. You can display all of this different information. You can change the layout. But anyway, that's just functionality of the product. What we provide with the standards is the preloading of every one of these cell libraries. So those are there. Line styles are listed. I list line styles, because we have both physical and cosmetic line styles. And a lot of people will check and verify that they are using the ODOT standards by looking for those custom line styles. Yes, that's one way to do it. Mostly at ODOT, I haven't done a survey, so this is my personal opinion. I believe that more people access the custom line styles through the discipline-specific ODOT ribbon workflow commands than, pick them from the list. I'll show you what I mean. When we choose a command off of a discipline-specific ribbon workflow, let me find traffic striping, just for grins. Here we are in traffic striping. When I pick one of these long line commands, these are all about the type of stripe. So let me choose the DLL, dotted lane line, at 4-inch white. You guys keep your eyes on this attributes group at the left, and when I choose one of these, you will notice the attributes all change, and my line style has been set to stripe lane drop underscore V8. Well, it also set an element template, it set a level, set a whole bunch of stuff. So that when I go into the place line command, which I'm actually in, and I place a line, that was a really long line. I zoom in, I see that line is being drawn with the custom line style. So most people that I know don't just pick a line style. What they typically will do is they will go and find that discipline-specific menu, choose an item off the menu, which chooses the line style. But all of these line styles are loaded at launch. All of these ones that end with underscore V8 are ones that were created by ODOT. And there's a bunch of them. So who would want to, pour through that list? Not me. What else have we got? We've got levels. We've got a ton of levels. 958 levels are delivered to you in a DGN library. Now, we've got two kind of major categories of levels. We've got existing levels and proposed levels, but we have added some for modeling. When we upgraded to using Open Roads Designer, we discovered that the corridor modeling tools needed some special levels. So those we're starting with the letter D for design. And then we also needed some for sheet layout because that was new with MicroStation Connect and ORD. So we added some that start with S, the named boundary. When we choose the civil plan named boundary, for example, from ORD, it will use S underscore named boundary as its level. There are also some administrative levels that we've used for years to store pieces of the borders and information that's drawn around the borders. Those will be your pound plot layout, those types of things. There are also some additional levels that are resident actually in the seed file. And there's a little bit of difference how those are accessed and how they are used. Do people at ODOT select a level from the attributes group? Typically not. Again, the level is just a property, and most folks will choose an item from a discipline-specific ribbon workflow, and they don't pick a level. Why? That's because there's a bazillion of them, right? If I go to my level pick list, I have got a lot of levels to choose from. It just pages and pages and pages of levels. So almost 1,000. It's most people will not bother with that. Let's take a look at what else we've got. The level manager. The level manager is used with other pieces of software. They will manage levels, and the users of the software that we don't use here at ODOT, they use the level manager a lot, but at ODOT, a level is just another attribute. It's not a super attribute. It doesn't set other things. No, it's just another attribute. So what we tend to do is we treat levels just like everything else, and we just simply use them to control display on and off. We do have elements that share levels, which can make it challenging for people who didn't grow up using MicroStation, but it makes it interesting anyway. So you can access the level manager from the primary group on your home ribbon tab, but it's recommended simply choose a ODOT discipline ribbon workflow and select the thing that you want to place. The level will be set automatically by that button. There are some restrictions to levels also. You cannot delete a level. You cannot, using the ODOT _connect workspace, you cannot create a level. You are restricted from deleting and creating levels, and you're restricted from renaming levels. So what can you do with levels? Well, with the level manager, if you open up the level manager, you will see that there are in the seed file. Let me show you that. I'm going to open up the level manager from the primary group, and I happen to have the name and the description and the file showing so that we can actually sort by file. Let me see if I can sort by file, and we will see at the top of this list, we have a bunch of levels that are actually in the file. The reason they're in the file, there's two reasons. They could have started in the file. These right-click to rename levels all came in with the seed file. They're there, they are there in the seed file so that when you create brand new files, if you need a level with a specific name to help you control the display of things, you can rename those levels by right-clicking on them and choosing rename. And you can rename that to whatever you want to call it. But if you try to do that on a level that doesn't have a right-click to rename name, you will see that rename doesn't function. And it says cannot change the name of a library level. Well, you say, it says it's coming from seed 2D. There's another way that levels get into files. They can come in with the seed file, like the right-click to rename, or every time you place an element with a particular level associated, that level is written to the file. There are some things about that level that's written to the file that you can change, but most you can't. The things that you can change are the overrides. You can adjust whether the overrides are on or off and what symbology overrides are being used. You can change that. So those are the levels, the level manager. I don't use it a whole lot. Let's see what else we've got in our PDF. Element templates. Honestly, element templates are where ODOT has been going, and it's kind of interesting because this is where Open Roads Designer went as well. This is where the modeling software went in order to specify all of the properties of features that are created with the modeler. So we've been adopting element templates more on just the drafting side because it's a great way to apply standards. When you select an element template, you are selecting, you can set all of the element properties with one command, setting that element template. And our element templates are loaded at launch, so they're always there. And the question always arises, would you select an element template from the list? Well, I would not. If we take a look at our attributes group, the upper left corner, when I hover over this little box that says lane drop 4-inch white, it shows that that's the element template group, and it shows me what my active element template is. There's a pick list, and number one, they're in folders, so there's a folder structure first of all, which is hard to get into. And then number two, there's a lot of folders. And you'd have to expand each one. Yes, you can search for templates if you know what they're named. Oh my goodness, I have no idea what a lot of things are named. Some of these have names that are very old. This is, it's not a waste of time, but it's just not a good use of anybody's time trying to pick an element template. I don't believe. I think what's best is to know that when we created the ODOT specific, those discipline specific ribbon workflows, each of these ribbon workflows, when it executes a command to place something like a berm, here's a proposed feature group, and I just kind of focused on the word berm. If I select berm, it's going to set the element template. And it set it to a thing called berm. The element template set the level, the color, the line style, the weight, everything else about it, so that when we draw our line, we get our berm. So would I go hunting for berm? No, I wouldn't. I don't even know what folder it is in. I have absolutely no idea. So I'm not going to go hunting for it. What I would probably do is get used to using the commands off of the ODOT ribbon workflows. These are going to set that element template almost every time. There are some commands that don't use element templates. In that case, they will individually set the level, the color, the line style, and the weight. But most of them will set an element template. All right, the drawing scale or annotation scale. I've got that here. And this, it's like, what is the annotation scale and why does it matter? Things that we learn in our basic microstation class is that the drawing scale or the annotation scale is applied only to annotation text and annotation cells. When we do line work and we say this line is going to be 100 feet long, we're not scaling that line. It's 100 feet long. What we might be scaling is the appearance of that line, not the size of it. If we're using a custom line style, some of our custom line styles respond to annotation scale. Some of them don't. Let's take a gander. The drawing scale is so important that we have already opened up. If you're using the ODOT preferences, we've already opened up and docked the drawing scale toolbar. It's there so that no matter what file or what model or what menu ribbon tab you go into, you have access to the drawing scale toolbar. You can change the drawing scale here. I'm going to change it from inch 100 to inch 50, and I'm going to kind of take a look at what's going to go on with this berm and this stripe. Inch 50. What I saw is that absolutely nothing happened with the stripe. It was rock solid. It did not respond to a change in drawing scale. But the berm, it got smaller. Did the length of the line change? No. I'm going to hit undo. Length of the line stayed the same. Just the appearance changed. That's all that changed, was the appearance. All that changed. So why is it different? The striping custom line styles are physical line styles. It's very important for the striping designers that these be real world gaps and real world lengths of the stripe. So what should we have in between there? We should have like 40 feet. I measure the distance between points, and I'm just going to kind of left click, and that is 8 feet. And I'm going to do there to there, and that's 3 feet, and that's not what I expected. So, oh, that isn't what I expected. Well, I don't know why that's not what I expected. But, oh, these are dots. Sorry, I thought it was stripes. Silly me. Let me draw a stripe really quick. ODOT Who's keeping track of my mistakes? I think that was number 3. I'm going to go to striping. I'm going to go to long lines, and I'm going to go to, I want my skip stripe. It's a white skip.
WB, the first one, Lenny.
Thank you. Okay, it says skip. It would have bit me, but it was in parentheses, and I just kind of ignored it. Great. Here's I've got my skip stripe. Okay, I'm going to place this. This one also, as we will see, does not respond to changes in drawing scale because, as I said before, it's very important. I hit my space bar, get my pop-up menu. I know my measuring tools are right there. Measure distance, and I should have, okay, this should be 40 feet from what I remember. Oh, 30 feet.
30 is correct.
Overall, it's 40 feet from the beginning of a stripe to the next stripe. Okay, geez Louise. I can't remember anything from 20 years ago. All right, 10-foot length of the stripe, 30 foot in between. The pattern itself is 40 feet long, and it's always going to be that way. Berm is cosmetic. What they said is, when this displays on plans, we always want it to look the same way from plan sheet to plan sheet, no matter what the drawing scale is. Okay, so the berm is a cosmetic line style. The stripe and the dotted line, those are physical line styles. Those are all provided. You don't need to worry about which one's which. Pick it off the list if you can find it. All right. Where was I at? The drawing scale. All right, we have 27 scales that are commonly used. I probably didn't count really fast, but I did count them. The fractional scales tend to be used by bridge, and well, I know there's somebody else, but anyway, those are all there. There's also custom scales, and you can set whatever scale that you want. If you need inch 25, for example, you can set that custom scale if you need it. I would myself probably start with inch 100 and then go, well, the ratio of 100 to 25 is 4, so I will choose my custom scale and divide by 4, because I maybe can divide 1200 by 4, maybe, and get 300. And that would be an inch 25. Ugh, let me go back to inch 100. Okay, now those are the drawing and annotation scales. Now, reference cache files. This is really cool. Just like the cell libraries are preloaded, there are certain reference files that are, well, their location is preloaded. They're not automatically attached, but you will use cache files, ODOT standard cache files, to help you build out your plans. If you're in the business of making plans, we have a bunch of them specifically for constructing plans. So let's go back to here and let me go to a sheet. I go back up to the drawing just to display this differently, and I am going to create a brand new model from, let me just use the 11 by 17 model. And the reason is because our plan sheets are typically 11 by 17. When I create a brand new model from that model seed, you'll see, wow, it kind of looks like a sheet already. It's got the boundary, it's got the title block, it's got some guidelines for putting some stuff in there. It's got lots of stuff. All of that can be deleted if you don't want it. It can be toggled off for display, your choice. This sheet number, that sheet number is displaying, if I open up the models again, that sheet number is displaying the property called sheet number. So if I change this to A01, because I was going to create a title sheet, it automatically updates it to A01. Kind of cool. It's still the 11 by 17 model. I can change the name of the model too. A01. All right. But I don't remember how to build title sheets. We have standards about title sheets. Let me grab the standards about our title sheets. I'm going to use the reference dialog. On the reference dialog, when we attach a new reference, we have access through a thing called the directory history. It's this little tiny unobtrusive button that looks like a file folder with an asterisk in it. If I hover over it, it says directory history. When I click it, it shows me shortcuts. I am looking for a shortcut that uses the word standards and ends with the word ref. And I see standards ref. I'm also going to point out there's a myref. And I can quickly go just to where my DGN file is located. These are all shortcuts. Places I've been before, those are recorded in my preference file history. My third slot is taken up with my active, not my active directory. That is the directory of the DGNs for the work set. My active directory is at the top. But slot number 5, I see ends with ODOT_standards ref. And when I select it, I see all of these standard references. Now, these all have different uses. These are talked about on the East website. The 2D masking cache has got elements that use priority and they use a background fill. And you can use those. You can copy them out of that reference file and cover up stuff that you don't want to show that's coming in from a reference file really quickly. They're great. But today I was saying, oh, I want to, maybe do a title sheet and I don't remember what the standards are. Well, there's a thing called cache_TSE. That is what I would attach. And I'm going to open it and attach it. It comes in, it's really designed to be attached to a sheet model because the origin of my sheet model is this lower left corner. And it's designed to be attached to the lower, and it just comes in right alongside. And I can copy anything out of here that I want and paste into my sheet. Maybe I want, all of these things over here. I'm going to copy them. Oh, that's right. Copy, sorry, from there to there. Now they're in my sheet and I can manipulate them. I can edit them because they're in my sheet. That's how we use the cache files. We also use it to match attributes, but there's a lot of copying out of the reference, pasting, like here's my indexes over there. I could slam that into position pretty quickly. So those are the cache files. There are also personal cache files. Let me show you that. If I wanted to make another reference attachment, and I have, maybe it's examples of previous work, there is a location on your C drive. This is both internal and external because we provide our work set and we provide this Connect Projects folder to externals when they download our workspace. There's this myref folder. So if you go to your C drive, look in ODOT, Connect Projects, myref, that is where you can put files that have examples of stuff that you've done in the past. If you want to copy it, I would caution you against too much copying and pasting right now, because a lot of your information that you've got historical will probably be using older standards. But you can attach this. I'm going to go ahead and choose open. And I'm going to attach it. I'll just attach it coincident world. It's not going to come in where I can see it because it's not set up as a cache file. So this is 00 is up, or I might have it backwards. Nope, that's my file. So the data that I just attached is way off here in negative space. And I also don't have nested referencing on. So if I turned nested referencing on, nested referencing, by the way, is appearing right at the bottom of my dialog, and I can turn on live nesting, and now I can see the children that were attached as a reference to my old example work. It was a whole project. All right, so those are references. And what's automatic is the shortcut to the location of the ODOT standards ref. The drawing boundaries, there are a ton of drawing boundaries. There are civil drawing boundaries. And what you get automatically is the assignment of the correct annotation scale that matches the detail scale that you chose. We have print styles. I'm going to move quickly through the rest of these. We've got print styles that are loaded at launch. All of those ODOT workflows, those are loaded. Civilly, the feature definitions act very similar to element templates, and they are loaded from a DGN library. So they set up all of the properties for what a civil element is, as well as how it looks and the annotation that it uses. I've got annotation groups. The survey settings are actually imported from a DGN library that's loaded at launch if you choose the correct workspace. And you can read up more on that. The geographic coordinate systems, I've run across this a few times. People who use both ORD and MicroStation Connect will be interested to know that those are really easy to load from the library. The ODOT favorites will list all of the Oregon coordinate reference systems. They're in an ODOT favorites folder. So you can pick from there. You can also import from another file that you already have attached. Typically, Survey will assign the geographic coordinate system to the survey base, and you can import it from that one as well if you don't wish to, search through the library, because there's quite a number of those that are loaded. At the very bottom, I have the My Cells and the My References. One I wanted to go back and show you was the print styles. Let me show you those. The print styles are specific to, well, they're new with version 10 and the Connect workspace. I had to make some changes in names. And the print styles are preloaded, again, from a DGN library. And we see those when we use the print dialog or the print organizer. So I'm going to run the print dialog. I happen to be in this A01 sheet, and you'll notice that I have a preview, and it doesn't happen to be what I'm looking at. And this is just part of the way that MicroStation and Open Roads run now. If you are actively viewing a sheet, it will show you the sheet boundary. Now, when I attached this old example as a reference, it was well outside the sheet boundary. It was way off in negative land. So that's why we're seeing just the sheet. I've got some print styles. The print styles have a button. You can apply print styles or choose Settings, Apply Print Style. And here's the pick list. There are, looks like less than 10 print styles. How do you decide which print style to use? Well, what type of model are you wanting to get the prints from? Are you using sheet models? That's the newer workflows are all using sheet models with a sheet boundary, an actual sheet size. So if you're using a sheet model like I am, and it has the standard white background, I would choose one of the sheet print styles. And I'm doing 11 by 17, so I would probably choose sheet 11 by 17. If I was still using design type models, and maybe I was stacking my sheets by placing borders, or maybe I opened up a file that I had began in V8i, and I opened it up in Connect, so it had a totally different structure. I was using default model, maybe. or design type models, then I would choose design 11 by 17. Design 11 by 17 will look inside a design type model for a border cell. If you've got a border cell in a design type model, it'll find it. My active model happens to be a sheet model, so I'm going to choose sheet 11 by 17 and click OK. What it does is it finds that sheet, just open up the preview, and it gives me the extents of the sheet itself, and it applies a pen table. I can see that because everything has been turned black, and the pen table was applied at the bottom, which I can change. I can detach it, or I can change it to a different pen table, or just print a file. So those are the print styles. I've got 6 minutes, which is not a whole lot of time. I will tell you, I'm going to post these. Let's see, any print styles that don't print to PDF. Oh, Jeremy, excellent question. No, I don't have any print styles that don't print to PDF. Do I have any print styles that don't print to PDF? No, I don't. I got rid of them. The reason is because well over 95% of the stuff that we are doing is producing PDFs. And then we can go and print the PDF if we need to. So MicroStation does an excellent job of creating a PDF. It's really rock solid with the line weights. It's a standard look. It does a great job. But all of these will apply the PDF driver. So it doesn't matter which one we choose. The driver can be changed. The driver is right up here in the upper left corner, printer and paper size. If you wish to actually send it to a physical printer, maybe you're at the office and you need to send that to a printer, yes, you can change this to using printer.plt CFG. That will use your default Windows printer. I don't have a physical printer connected. I have my default is a PDF, Microsoft Print to PDF. So we can see that it changed to using my default printer. It also changed the area of the sheet because that printer is set up by default to be 8.5 by 11. So if you change to a physical device, you're going to have to, adjust your scale or maybe adjust your paper size so that you get a correct paper size. Tabloid should be, I don't even know what tabloid is. Yeah, it should be 11 by 17. Sometimes tabloid is actually legal size, but yeah, this is part of the reason why I only use PDF drivers now. Their drivers are there. You can futz with it. And I use check prints. My check prints are all PDFs. I just dump them onto a folder on my desktop. I totally use PDFs for check prints. Nice question. Where do I post the recordings? The recordings are on the East website. They're actually not on the East website. Oftentimes I will have a link to them. They are posted on our ODOT's YouTube channel. How do you access it? The easiest way is from the East website. If you go to, for example, the ODOT Connect Drawing Workflows page from the East website, at the very top, you'll see shortcuts to East's video playlist. There's also a shortcut to Bentley's. That video playlist will have all of our recordings as we get them up there. The latest ones will be at the bottom. I was just able to get up the first 2 from August. Should be able to get the last 2 from August up there by the end of the week. So that's where the recordings are posted. Be aware that these recordings all have chapters. So if you're interested in, here's a printing in PDF. I'm going to pause this. These all have chapters. If you go into the More button for the description, you'll see there are timing marks for the different chapters, and the timeline is chapterized, if that's a word. You can see these segments, and you can jump right to an area of the recording that's of interest to you.